Okay, so we are recording now and we are going to be talking about our convention recap. We had to switch over from Google Hangouts. That did not work. Sorry, guys. So Debbie and I are going to be talking today about just some of the things that really stood out to us. Some of these things we already talked about in our convention recap in Pink Power. But some of these things I wanted to talk about with you guys too. And I thought it would just be best to get on something like this instead of spending an hour on the phone with each person individually, you know. So I'm going to try to look at this camera up here so that I'm not like looking off to the side. I'm looking at myself over here, and just forgive me if I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to move this thing around. Okay. Okay. So I thought it was really cool that they talked a little bit about just the company and the history of the company. And they were talking about how when they first started out, they only had 4 employees, and they had Tarl had written down his goals and his I don't know, whatever the word is, on a napkin. So they would sit around and they had these 4 little employees in there, and they had their napkin, you know, what they would go off of. Too. So now that was back in 2010. And now fast forward to 2016, they've got 437,000 ambassadors now, which is like super duper cool. And 13,000 of those are international. Canada has 9,000, Australia has 2,600, and New Zealand has a couple hundred. So that is pretty cool. I really like how Tarl and Alec are they are so motivating, and they are just so funny to watch, and they're so down to earth. I love how, I've already said this before, but I have to say it again. I love how Alec says, if you're blessed, to be a blessing. And Tarl, you know, he shared a little bit about his family and how he was raised. He said he was raised in a single family, with a single mom, and he watched her do different meetings and different parties. She was in some type of nutritional company. And so then he ended up getting into network marketing as well himself. So anyways, I just thought that was pretty interesting. I had never heard all of his story before. So of course he has a whole lot more to the story, but we do only have like 30 minutes. We're trying to keep it short. So anyways, Debbie, do you have anything to say right now? I'm just going to look over my notes some more, but I want to let you do some talking too.
Okay. Well, convention I thought was super exciting because it was so cool to meet everybody who was like Pink Power in person. Because it's nice when you talk to everyone on the Monday night calls, or you like on Facebook, but to actually meet people in person was really exciting. And then the winner's dinner was so awesome and is so doable for all of you, because I was still really new. I'd only been a gold. Well, I went gold in February. So yeah, so not very much before convention. And so winner's dinner was super fun. It was a great meal. It was really nice to go, and it was fun to get dressed up. So yeah, so all of you can come to Leaders Retreat in the fall. Definitely a good goal and totally doable. So yeah, it's really exciting. So a couple things that I really liked were, and I don't remember, I don't have who, I think it was a Rita Davenport quote, but she said that your why to do, your will and your why to do the business should be greater than your skill. So it's really not like you need a huge skill set to do this. It's just sharing and getting out of your comfort zone and talking to people. But your why to do this has to be bigger. So it's really important to make a list of like what your why is. Oh, your kids are so cute, Elizabeth. And then, you know, what have you got to lose? So, okay, maybe somebody's going to ignore you when you Facebook message them, but in the big picture of achieving your goals and dreams, that's really, maybe they were busy. Maybe somebody's going to tell you no, they don't want Plexus now, but it's not necessarily a no forever. It might just be no right now. It doesn't work for them. And then just setting your goals. like pretty much everybody that talked about at the beginning and like the general sessions talked about making sure to set your goals, making a list of what your goals are, and trying to then come up with a plan for that. So I don't know how long you want me to talk, Rachelle, but I could say quite a few things. But anyway, so that I really liked was that they talked about how if you feel like your business isn't growing or it's not growing as fast as you want it to grow, and they talked about this in our golden senior goal thing, is to do 5-3-1. So contact 5 new people a day and do what's the 3? Contact 5 new people, do the 3 posts, and then 1 follow-up or like team training. But that the 5 also included like reconnecting with people that you contacted at the beginning and then maybe like didn't continue following up with. So maybe somebody you contacted when you were first started and they didn't really get back to you, or maybe you sent them some info and then you kind of lost touch, but like reestablishing a connection with them. And that was, I thought, a really good tip for ways to grow. And those 5 people also count for the person you talk to in the grocery store or when you're shopping or your hairdresser or you get your nails done or something. So that was kind of a fun way to think of some creative ways to do the 5.
What she said was the 5-3-1, the 3 was actually the follow-up. So you had your 5 new people, your 3 follow-up. Right. Yep. And then the 1 training, and that like training of your new team member or whatever. And then she said, you know, you add your personal growth, personal development into it. And then was the posting on social media. So yeah, that was really good. Yeah, that was Rhonda Shaw. We love Rhonda Shaw. She's a diamond. I had never even heard of her before, but she's like my new favorite person. So yeah. I was just going to add that in real fast, but you can finish talking.
That's okay. See, I really like Jen Hawkins. So because she was a working person doing Plexus. So obviously everybody connects with different people, but she was one that I connected with. So she talked about how she would every day at her lunch hour either go to the gym or do Plexus. And then she would do 2 hours in the evening. So from like 8 to 10, she would do her IPA, her team connecting and stuff. So I thought that was kind of a cool, for those of us that work 12-hour days, to do it, like schedule it on your days off and actually put it in your planner. So on Monday, from like 8 to 9 p.m. that you're going to do IPA and it's scheduled in just as if you were like going to an appointment or something. So I thought that was kind of a good tip.
Yes, absolutely. So we're just kind of jumping into the gold and senior gold training because that is exactly what they talked about in there. We had Rhonda Shaw and Jen Hawkins, and you guys should follow them. I mean, they can't accept any more friends because they've reached their friend limit, but follow them on Facebook and just kind of look at what they're doing. Jen Hawkins, she said she started 4 years ago, and I too love that as well that she said that. She said that she would go to her JOB from 9 to 11:30, whatever. She would type on her screen and do her stuff, and then lunchtime was one or the other. She would either work out the one day or she would do Plexus for that hour lunch. So it wasn't even every day that she was doing Plexus on her lunch break. And then, right, like Debbie said, she would go from, family time was really important, so she'd go back to her job until 4:35, whatever. She'd come home and she said like 5 to 8 was like family time, period. She just was not going to let that go. And so then when the kids went to bed, she would do the 2 hours of Plexusing and and growing and everything. And then Rhonda Shaw said she started 2 years ago. So Jen Hawkins is a diamond sapphire, and then Rhonda is a diamond. But Rhonda, so like Debbie said, Jen stood out to her. Jen stood out to me too, but Rhonda stood out to me because she is a homeschooling mom to 5 kids. So that was like right up my alley. And she said her youngest is 4. And she said what I really thought was cool too about Rhonda Shaw is that she said her husband was already making the income of a diamond. So it wasn't like she needed to do this business for the money. But they were both really good talking about the prioritizing and the time management, which was really good. And I just did a video in Pink Power on this, so I don't need to touch too much on this. But it was so helpful for me and for anybody, you know, working, staying at home, whatever. Just the time management is so important. And we really must block out these times Because if we don't, we can get into that multitasking. She said multitasking decreases productivity and creativity. And so I felt like that a lot with me just personally. I'm running around taking care of these 6 kids, or I'm trying to clean the kitchen, or I'm trying to do the laundry or pay the bills or discipline or whatever it is. And then I'm in the meantime trying to run over here and do the plexus. And then it's like, I'm on a call. You guys need to go do something with yourselves. Go turn on a movie or whatever. And it's just all this crazy stuff. And, thankfully I've got Cameron and Carly. I enlist them to help me with so much. But yeah, you've got to, and they talked about their DMO, so the daily method of operation. And that was where Debbie comes in with the 5-3-1. And then they made us do a pledge. And so we had to say, I will do my IPA and reach out to 2 new contacts first. I will not let my fears steal my dreams. And she made us say this stuff. And so I do have to say that when we do our IPA first, just a personal story, side note from convention, when I was doing my IPA in the morning, my business was like booming, going very well. My family was kind of, I don't know what was going on with them part of the time. But so then I thought, oh my gosh, I can't be doing this with my family. So then I would take care of the family, do the devotions with the kids and all these kinds of things in the morning. And then I was doing my IPA after that, so I said, I got to do this first. And anyways, and here's another little one sitting over here. Say hi. And so then my family was doing better, but then my business was going down. So then I was like having a really hard time with balancing. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Mommy,
so I need you to go see your brother right now. Okay. Now go see your brother. Thank you. Okay. And so what was I saying? I'm easily distracted. About the kids and okay. Oh yeah. And so it was about finding the balance. And so I just remember Fallon telling me, everybody feels like that. Diamonds all the way down. They have a hard time with balance sometimes. It's just about life. It's not even just about plexus. It's just life. Sometimes finding that balance. So anyways, just doing what works best for your family, not comparing yourself to other people. But the IPA is best to do in the morning, right?
Yeah, and I liked how she put it in like the boxes. And how the one box is like things that are absolutely urgent that you have to do right away. So like you have a customer whose auto ship is going out tomorrow and they need help fixing it, or you have a brand new ambassador that has a question because they want to sign somebody up. But then the second box is your IPA, and doing that before you maybe like follow up, or you talk to other people about things are going to take you longer and you're going to take more time. So making sure that you take that 20 minutes to contact your new people and send follow-ups, and then shift gears and focus on the other stuff. So I kind of like that. I started doing my IPAs in the morning, trying to do them before I leave for work, take my 10 minutes while I'm drinking my smoothie or something in the morning, or eating some fruit before I leave for work. And I think that kind of helps, because then you have that done. So then you're like, check that off my list, and you can go on to like, oh, okay, now let's follow up and do my like 3 posts and stuff. So that's just something I found that's helpful for me.
Absolutely. And this is the chart. We already have it in Pink Power.
Yes.
But can you see it? And you guys can look at it in Pink Power. We can tag you in it. But it was so helpful. That was probably like one of the biggest things that stood out to me in that senior gold training. Absolutely. And just, and they were talking about avoiding things unless you have time. That means scrolling on Facebook and sitting on the phone and talking to your friends and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, you can talk to your friends, but just not letting the day get away from you while you're talking to them. So, okay. So another thing I wanted to say was that what I really liked about the company, just I learned a lot about the moral integrity of the company, and just such a good company and full of character and full of people that love God and that are really giving him the glory and honor. Every single person that got up on that stage to talk gave God the glory and the honor. And I'm just amazed by that. Where else are you going to see that in any other company? I mean, really, Matt's in the military. He cannot talk about God anymore. They're doing away with all this different stuff, and so that's one of the reasons why he's retiring, And so it's just awesome. And so many companies that are politically correct, or you can't say this, or you can't do that, or we're going to support this kind of stuff. You know, Plexus is not like that. And I love that. I love that. And Charles said too, talking about what he has envisioned for the company, he says that he wants it to be a legacy company. He signed a 79-year lease on their building in Arizona. And I just really thought that was cool. He said that he wrote down his will and testament for what he wants for Plexus, even when he's dead and gone. And he wants to keep these core values and traditions staying with, his vision to stay with all along, you know? So anyways, okay, so what else? Oh, Jessie Burnett. And who was the lady? LaToya, the Dallas,
yeah, I don't remember her name, but yeah, she was a news anchor.
Yes, she was amazing. She's a senior Ruby. I'm gonna have to look her up on YouTube and see. We need to look her up. She was absolutely amazing. She signed up under Kim Wilson Pollock, but she comes out and says, "Look at God! How great is God?" And she just was very motivating in everything that she had to say. Jessie Burnett, a single mom. So it doesn't matter. It's all walks, all backgrounds. You know, everybody doing this, which we already know this, so I don't need to be repeating all that because we are already all wanting to work our business and we already know all this. But Rita Davenport, I loved her. She was this funny little old lady with her sparkly shoes and her sparkly little thing on her outfit, and she had so many good things to say. I feel like I need to write down all her little quotes and just put it in Pink Power or something, because she said so much. And one of the couple of the big things that she said is, she said, it costs nothing to dream. It's free. It's free to dream, because, you know, our convention was Dream On. And so she said, it costs nothing to dream. It's free, but it's going to cost you everything if you don't dream. So dream big. She said to be courageous and have courage. I don't know how many times. Like, that was the big thing for her. She said, God is watching. Give him a good show. She said, if you want your dreams to come true, wake up. So she said, yeah, and like Debbie said, your will has to be greater than your skill. She said to do this for your kids. You know, your kids are watching you. Do this for your kids. Be successful for your kids. Then she was joking around about her Rolex, and she goes, money's not everything, but it is right up there next to oxygen. And so I had to laugh. She said so many funny things. We were all dying at her. But she just said to be your very best and to just be yourself, you know. And I really like that. But just to be courageous. And that was another theme that we kind of heard in our gold and senior gold training, and just the speakers that were talking, you know, is to do things that are scary. You know, don't let fear set in, because that can take over your dreams. Don't let that set in. Just keep going with it all. And you know, goal setting, all of these things that we sit and talk about at different times in our three-way chats and on the phone with stuff. But she said that there is definite power in goal setting. Another thing she said is, it's not your upline, it's your success line. So not to be looking at, I mean, you do want to look at your upline, but some people might not have a good upline. We don't have that in Pink Power. But so some people might say, well, oh my goodness, my upline doesn't help me with this, or my upline doesn't help me with that. Don't look at your upline. Look at your success line. So, of course, that's not us, because we have awesome training in Pink Power. I love Pink Power. Where else do you have all these diamond Christian women all above us? It's just awesome, you know. She did say a couple of books that would be good to read. She said The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. She said The Power of Positive Thinking. And then she talked about her own book that's called The Funny Side Up, because she likes to just add humor into everything that she does. So I really liked that. But then again, I'm looking again, courage. She talked about courage. It's like, she must have said that so many times. So anyways, okay, Debbie, your turn again.
And I liked how she said, work smarter and not harder. Like, and you're in this life to learn. And she was the one that mentioned she wants her mentee to outdo her. Yeah. And thinking about what's in it for them and not in it for you. So helping the people that you're helping be more successful than you. And I was like, that's a really cool perspective to take, that their success is better than your success. And then she talked about your true worth is dependent on your network. Like, you're not a little island in the world. So developing good networks and networking with people that are positive and encouraging and share the same likes and goals that you have will be success in life in general, and then success in your business too.
Yeah. And she talked about your hopes, back to the hopes and dreams. She was like, what good are low hopes? She says, she goes, those people that say don't get your hopes up, she said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I thought that was so good, because it's true. We need to have our hopes up. Our hope is in Jesus, or whatever our hopes are in. We need to keep those hopes up, you know? So, yeah. What else? I liked how Alex said, if I had sunglasses up here, I would put them on because your future is so bright. It was so cool because he made everybody, like, they just gave everybody all the credit, you know, and they all, everybody that we saw, all the VIP workers, everybody, they would always tell us as the ambassadors, thank you for all that you do. We know that you are such a huge part of this company. And I love that. So then he, you know, they made all the silver stand-ups. So they said, if you're a silver stand-up, and they had all the silver stuff up everywhere, you know, on the screens and everything. And then they had a special song for the silvers, and everybody stood up, everybody clapped, you know. And then they did the same thing for the golds and for the rubies and for all the way up the line, the emeralds, the sapphires, the diamonds, and of course the jewels, they all got to go up on the stage. So that was pretty awesome to be able to see that. So we got to see Brittany and Cody walking up there with all their green lights going everywhere. And we were cheering for them. I lost my voice in Vegas. And then Tiffany was up there for sapphire. And then here's Fallon right up there on the stage for diamond. And last year at this time, she was a gold. She was gold. And here she's diamond now this year. So it is all possible. We just don't quit. We don't give up. You know, when there's negative things, we don't surround ourselves with negative people. You know, we need to be more proton. Like I saw on Christy's husband wrote that, you know, we need to be more proton and be more positive. You know, surround yourself with positive people. There's going to be negative things. There's going to be people that come to you and say, well, I just don't like this plexus stuff because, you know, I'm just not really impressed with it and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, you can let yourself get down by that, but we don't, because we have 100% belief in the products. We know that these products work. We know what this company stands for. And like Debbie wrote in her post when she got back from convention, you wrote something about, if I had any doubt before, I definitely don't have any of that now, you know, because it's so true. This convention, I mean, all y'all need to be at convention next year. Mary was there. Mary was there. You got to tell us a little bit about your silver training and what they said in there too. Awesome.
But I also I think it was Victor Antonio that said, like, you have to be committed. You can't do it halfway. You can't just always have a back door and think, well, I'm sort of going to try this, but not completely, because if you're focusing half your energy on thinking about how to get out of it, or having a backup plan, you're never giving it 100%. So then you're never going to really know how successful you could be. And you really owe it to yourself to go all in, to really give it your energy and excitement and enthusiasm. And then it's selfish to keep it to yourself, because there's so many people that could be helped, financially or health-wise or both. And so if you're just keeping this as this little secret that you're hiding, then it's really something powerful and exciting to share. I think Victor talked about that too. It's in my notes, but I didn't put who put it, and I thought that was cool too.
Yes, absolutely right. And all these things are on Pink Power. You know, we watch the videos, we hear our uplines telling us these things, but it is so true. We must be committed. I mean, whatever your commitment is. I mean, my commitment is I'm posting every day except Sunday, and I'm telling all of my friends about it and doing my at least two new contacts a day and doing my follow-ups. Following up is so important. They were talking about in our golden that hang on a second, I got to here. I don't know. I'm not good like Fallon. I don't know how to do it. How do I do it?
I'm participant.
I'm doing that. Manage participants. I don't know. Okay. Got it. Okay. I need Debbie to be running this show for me. What in the world? Okay, what on earth was I saying? I don't know. What were we saying?
Oh, about Victor Antonio.
Committed. Oh, being committed. Yeah, and just we must be committed. So whatever it is, whatever our commitment looks like, whether it's 3 days a week, posting or whatever it is, we need to be doing that. These people that, say I'm all in, but then they're not really all in. They're gung-ho about Plexus for a month and they're posting every day and they love Plexus and then all of this stuff. And then the next month they're off of Facebook and they're not doing anything. That is not how you're going to grow your business. That's not where the commitments that's in. And people need to see that we are committed, that we're dedicated, and that we are trustworthy, and with our character. Brittany did a really good post on that today too. But anyways, this is about convention, not about all of that other stuff. So, okay. So another thing that they talked about in our breakaway sessions, our senior gold training, was the new success kit. So I don't know who has a new success kit or who has the old success kit, but the new success kit has a lot of good information in there, and they had them in the store. We could buy them. So I bought one, and she just, Elizabeth James, she's a diamond. She just went through the quick start guide with us, and she went through all kinds of just awesome training and help, a lot of stuff that we already know. But I encourage you guys to get this new success kit and work through it, because it's got so many good things in it. It talks about, what did she say? She said to write out to set your business goals. You want to go for no's. So don't be afraid to reach out to these people. If they say no to you, that's okay. I mean, there's lots of videos on that too. It doesn't really mean no. It just means no, not right now. You never know what's going to happen with somebody 2 months from now, if they're going to wind up with some type of disease or something, and then they're going to be like, or somebody tells you, oh, you're going to have to go in to get a colonoscopy or whatever somebody's going to tell you, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I'm going to try that Plexus stuff first, right? So you just never know. Getting your joints. What's her name? Sheila Medina talks about the power of 3, just going silver every month, just getting 3 new people every month, and then helping them to go silver, multiplying. That's another good strategy in getting you guys to leadership, to the leaders retreat this year. IPA, being consistent, talking about commitment, being consistent, and also having your family buy in. So it's really good to sit down with your family. Brenda Martin talked about this too. She has 11 kids and they homeschool. Sitting down with your family and just doing a dream board with them, just talking about, what is it that you want, that you want to see mom accomplish with this? Do you want to see that mom can stay home with you and doesn't have to work anymore? Whatever it is for your family that you want to be doing this with. And they said to write out your goals like this, your SMART goals. And she says to write out, so SMART, you're in acronyms. S stands for specific. So I want to make $500 a month. I want to be a diamond, whatever your specific goals are. Measurable. She said her example was, I want to be gold by July 31st. So you have that measurable. And then attainable. Not saying, oh, well, I'm going to be emerald in 30 days. That's not attainable, right? But you can say, I want to hit fast start gold in 30 days. That's attainable. Realistic. That kind of goes back to what I just said. Give them, standard setters is what she was talking about. And then time bound. So they all kind of just flow together. Another thing was, I want to be whatever you want to be by whatever date, So I really liked that they talked about that. And then they talk about the Franks list. I don't know if you guys know what the Franks list stands for, but I didn't know what the Franks list stood for because I didn't have my new success kit, but it stands for friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, kid connections, and what was that?
Supplemental. So like your hairdresser.
Thank you, Debbie. I couldn't read my own writing. So, and then you write all your people out. You write down your list of 100 or whatever, and then you circle your top 20. I have talked with, all of my people about this, but then that's kind of like your dream team. And then you have your top 3 that you feel like you want to run with. Fallon's had her top 3. She had Cody, Tiffany, and Brittany, and then they all just ran up the top together, your power partners, So, and then they just talked about a lot of this other training that we already have gone over with you guys, just about how to share on Facebook, how to follow up, being consistent. So what I heard the most at convention was having courage, don't let fear set in, being consistent, and this is a relationship business, and just they constantly talk to us about people and how we care about people. You know, what is the saying? They say people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right?
Yep.
So, and we care about people. When we are in the grocery store, we hear somebody saying, oh my gosh, I can't even walk without being in pain. Or somebody says, I just don't have enough money for this or whatever. These are like our alarms going off and for me, my alarms are going off. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know something that can help you. I have to tell you about this, you know? So anyways, I'll let you do some talking now, Debbie.
And I liked how Rhonda Shaw and Jen Hawkins talked about personal branding. So making yourself, because essentially when you market your business on Facebook, you're like a billboard. So making yourself, thinking about how you're branding yourself and what you're presenting. So like for me, I'm a nurse. I really like health stuff. I love to travel. I like shopping and clothes. So like coming up with like 5 things that are unique about you and really talking about that and integrating that into your Facebook, because that's branding you, and then incorporating your plexus into that. So if you really like to travel, maybe you talk about how your additional income 1 month helps you to go on a trip or something. So I thought that was kind of good. And then Rhonda Shaw talked about like what TV channel were you before Plexus. So if you were like the Food Network channel and you were always posting recipes, maybe now after Plexus, or during Plexus, I should say, you're a healthier food channel. So you still have all your food channel stuff. You're not just like the Plexus channel, because then people turn you off. But you're like healthy recipes, and then a Plexus post that relates to that. Or if you were the travel channel, you still go on all your trips, but maybe now you're posting a picture with your pink drink in Italy, or something like incorporating that in. So I thought that was kind of cool, because sometimes like people are like, well, how do I promote Plexus, or how do I share it on Facebook? And they had some good tips about still being the person you were before, but then just incorporating sharing Plexus into that. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That was cool. That really stood out to me too. I loved her little story about that.
Oh, and her friending tip was so good. So like if you meet somebody in the store and you're talking to them, to say like, yeah, look me up, friend me. And so they pull up their Facebook and then they type your name in and send you a friend request. So she was like, that's a much more effective way, because if you say you meet Sally Smith when you're grocery shopping and she's got headaches and she's always tired, and you tell her about how Plexus could help her, and you friend request Sally Smith, she might get home and never add you as a friend. She might forget about who you were. She just might not remember. But if she sends you a friend request, then it puts the ball back in your court. So then you can go and add her right away, and then build that relationship and connection. I was like, that's a really good tip. So
I liked that tip too. I thought about that. And she was also the one that talked about leaving a voice message. And I thought that was so genius, because I've been already leaving voice messages. And of course, I did a video about this on Pink Power too, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so genius, right? But she was like, yeah, leave him a voice message, And I like too what she said about just like if somebody's hanging around and they just haven't bit, she's like, leave him a message and tell him that there's an awesome deal going on. She's like, make up a deal. It can just be just for them. They don't know. Just make up a deal and just tell them, hey, you get a free bottle of Edge, or whatever you want to say,
Or like free shipping or something for their order if they're like interested but haven't quite jumped on board. Yeah, I really like that too.
I know. It's so cool. They talked about John Maxwell in our gold training, which was awesome, because some of you guys in here did the Law of Leadership book with us that Fallon just did before convention. It ended right before convention. So that was really good. I liked too how they talked about the pitcher of water, and how when you're, when you're in network marketing, you're pouring water into your cup, right? Well, those are all your new ambassadors coming in or whatever. And then, but you do have holes in the bottom of the cup, right? Some people are turning off their backup orders or whatever, and so you can only play in a full cup of water that's draining for so long. You want to keep having your people coming in and continuing to build and build and build and bring more people in, right? And then they were saying 3 keys to grow. She said, grow yourself, grow relationships, and grow your brand. So we've already touched on some of that stuff. But I really like too what she said about like with personal growth. Personal growth is so important. I did not realize how important personal growth was. Like I said in my one video with that when Fallon, when we did our convention recap, it was like, well, I'm reading my Bible, you know, and that's true. I mean, I'm reading my Bible. I'm like, well, that's personal growth. But and that is important to do, of course. I'm not saying that, but there are other books out there on the leadership books. Like for instance, with me, I didn't feel like I was the good leader. I'm like, yeah, I'll just be a helper. It's okay. I don't need to lead children's church. I'll just be the helper, you know. And whereas I look at my husband and it's like, he is such a leader because he's been leading soldiers for the last 18 years. But we all have leadership qualities in us. And we just need to remember that and not tell ourselves, well, I'm not a leader. We are a leader. If we have a team, if you have one person under you, you are a leader. You are a leader of that team. And so, you know, grow on that and tell yourself those positive affirmations. And she was saying practical ways, practical steps to raise your lid. We talked about this in the book. You guys might not, if you didn't read the book, you might not know what raising your lid means, but you want to work on your skills as a leader, read more books written by great leaders. John Maxwell is really good. And then join leadership groups, seek out amazing leaders around you and ask for advice, seek out coaching from your sponsor. They talked about the law of magnetism. You attract who you are. So if you're a bubbly, happy, positive person, that's who you're going to attract. If you're a negative, down in the dumps, oh my gosh, life is just so rough all the time, that's who you're going to attract, you know? So be more positive, be more proton, you know? I liked what she said about prospecting do's and don'ts. I wrote these down. She said, do focus on others. Lead with the relationship. You know, this is where she talked about they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? They said, don't talk more than you listen. Listen to understand and not just to respond. So I really liked that because that's just with anything. This is not just with Plexus. That's just in your marriage, in your friendships. You want to be listening to and not always talking. Do expand your network. Get out there, be intentional, be relational, meet new people. They said, don't stay in your comfort zone. Relationships matter. What did she say? Hung out with Jen 6 times before she knew Jen did Plexus. Oh, so Jen Hawkins was talking about how she was hanging out with this one girl and they hung out like 6 times before she ever even knew that Jen did Plexus. She wasn't just, you know, what we call puking Plexus on everybody that she meets right away, you know, building those relationships. She said, do present your product and opportunity to everyone. And this right here is where they said specifically, you're not going to die. And I just had to laugh at that because Christy Goff, are you still on here? That is totally Christy's motto. She's like, but did I die? I'm not going to die. I can do this. I'm not going to die. And that's when she said that. And I straight up wrote your name right here in my book and put a smiley face. It was just so cool. And then the last thing they said is don't prejudge. Don't assume. So, okay, back to you, Debbie.
I just wanted to say my last wrap up thing is that I really liked, was it Jessica Heffley? I think her name is Jessica.
Yeah.
How she got on stage and she said where else can you make more than a brain surgeon as an introvert on your iPad and your yoga pants? Because I am definitely an introvert, and I mentioned that on my 3-way call this morning. I will rather text and Facebook people. Yes, I'm totally 100% agreeing with Yellow, of course, but I would rather text and Facebook people than call people and talk to them. And you can ask my family. They will 100% agree with that. But it's so cool that this business has an opportunity for everybody. If you like to talk to everybody in the grocery store line, it's perfect for that. If you like to more contact people at home and that's more your comfort zone to do it on Facebook, it's perfect for that. So yeah, it was really cool to hear how a lot of the diamonds obviously gave praise and glory to God for where they were at, but it was so neat to see how, they shop on the clearance rack and they wear $3.99 shoes, which is totally something I would do too. So it was really fun to see how all the different personality types have a fit in Plexus, and it can be for anyone, and how all the different unique people that came together. So yeah, that was probably one of the cool takeaways that I saw too.
I loved it when she said that. I thought that was so awesome. And she said that she was like always picked last and stuff like this, you know, introverted and whatnot. And so, and she went diamond in 11 months. Now you tell me, that's just amazing, you know. And her husband was in the men of Plexus. So I do have to touch on the men of Plexus real fast because, you know, Matt went with me to convention and he was so impressed with everything that he heard. They were only supposed to have like, they were only thinking they were going to have about 200 men at this men of Plexus session. And they wound up with over 1,000. They had to bring in extra chairs. It was standing room only. And the men got up and they prayed before they spoke. The people that were on the panel, they got up and prayed. And so he really thought that was awesome. And it was like Melissa Eichenhorst's husband, Willie, this girl that Debbie was just talking about, Jessica Heffley, it was her husband, Rob, Chris Hawkins, Jen Hawkins' husband, Tim Thomas. We see him on Rock the Pink Live, right? So just all these awesome men that are just out there, you know, it's just cool. But I do want to say a couple more things here. Rosalind Payne, she spoke about some stuff in our gold and senior gold training. And I want to keep this short too. I don't want to go forever and ever and ever, but, I liked how she talked about just teaching your downlines to duplicate themselves. And we always talk about this with all of you guys, to duplicate. And so she was talking about the 4 main points to that were how to share your belief and your passion, how to keep your team engaged, how to identify and run with your runners, and how to be the leader that your team wants to be and wants to emulate. And so she just talked about, and how to keep your team engaged. You just want to be, you know, being in our 321 chats, our IPA chats. That's just really fun to be in there with everybody, and we are cheering each other on and whatnot. Zoom trainings. Fallon does these Zoom trainings every Monday night. Those are super duper good to get on and talk to. And that was what Debbie was talking about in the beginning. And I, of course, so agree with her. Just getting able to meet everybody in person from Pink Power that we see all the time on Zoom calls, or we talk on the phone with you guys. And it's like, oh my goodness, we haven't seen you. I've never met you. And like Debbie and I, we haven't seen each other since probably Debbie was a little kid. I mean, I don't know. She's a little younger than me. I mean, her parents and my parents knew each other way back in the day before any of us were born. But it was so neat to just be able to meet everybody again, and old friends, and then meet new people that we haven't met, but we feel like we've met, you know. Okay, so Zoom trainings. Okay, so back to that. So then they were talking about just encouraging one another, commending your leaders, commending your team, not forgetting about your people all the way down. I mean, like Fallon, she's got levels 8s and all these people down below her. I don't have that many yet, but just remembering all of your downlines and remembering that they're there, not forgetting about them. It's just saying, hey, you know, you're doing a great job or whatever, you know. And then she talked about how to run with your runners. Identify your runners. You will know when you have a runner when they come to you and they're like wanting to know everything. They go on Peak Power and they've already watched all these videos before you even tag them. That's Debbie. I don't ever have to tag her, and I tag her anyways, but she's already watched them all the time, you know. And so you know when they're coachable, they're doing the work. You know that they want to do it. So you're going to know who your runners are. And then that comes back to the commitment and consistency, right? And then they were talking about actions speak louder than words, and pour your efforts into those who want it. Okay, so then she says how to walk the walk. Be the kind of leader you want your ambassadors to be. Positivity breeds positivity. I love that they said a negative thinker sees a difficulty in every opportunity, but a positive thinker sees an opportunity in every difficulty. You know, our downlines are watching us. They're watching everything we're doing, whether it's on Facebook or on the phone or whatever it is that we're doing, mainly on Facebook. So, you know, branding yourself, back to all that again. So without repeating ourselves. But, and then John Addison talked a lot. He was a leaders guy, and he had a lot of awesome things to say. Matt has listened to him. He too talked about building your dreams. And he just talked about some good leadership practices. He says, decide who you are. Shine your light on others. And he was talking about being a lighthouse. He said, build on your strengths, you know, earn your position. He said, focus on what you can control. You know, you can control your attitude and your activity. He says, what am I going to get done? What can I control and make happen? Don't get scattered and go off in a bunch of different directions, you know, focusing. He said, develop a peaceful core. A peaceful mind generates power. That's from Norman Vincent Peale. He said, your organization does not know negative stuff. What did he say? He was talking about being a basket case and being all over the place, you know. Sometimes I feel like that though, so I don't know. But yeah, I really liked how you talked about just being the lighthouse. What did he say too, Debbie? He said an army of sheep led by a lion, and then a lion.
My mother says good morning.
Hi. There's babies in there talking to us.
I didn't write the sheep one down. I don't have that one.
You don't have it down? Okay, that's okay. I know. I was trying to remember what he said about that. I don't know, but it was pretty cool. What did he say? Oh, he said leaders are the eye of the storm. He said if leaders are a basket case, then that is how your team is going to be. So however the leader is, so goes the team. If you turn off your backup order, if you're not consistent, whatever, that's how your team is going to see you, and that's what they're going to do. And believe me, I have seen that in my own downline. I have a person that is just she's had a lot of things going on in her life, a lot of personal things, with just some poor decisions in her past. And anyway, she's just letting that come out now. And so she had a good team going, and she's just like, everybody's dead now. They're all white line. There's only one person left with their backup order on. She's never on Facebook anymore. Nobody has heard from her. She's dropped off the face of the earth. And so that's what's going to happen. If you have somebody that's consistent, that's loving life, look at Fallon. We all want to follow Fallon because she's consistent. She's committed. She's dedicated. We see that. And then, of course, Debbie and I are too. And we love all of you guys. But anyways, and then the last thing I wanted to mention about Tarl, he talked about marriages, and he compared the company Plexus to marriages. And he's like, so how many of y'all are married in here? He's like, so how many of your marriages are perfect? And everybody starts laughing or whatever. And he's like, marriage is not always perfect. Life is not always perfect. It's not always easy. It's not always fun. And there's going to be speed bumps in the way. But overcoming those hurdles, it's just part of life, and he was saying that with the speed bumps in Plexus, the back office switch over, and sometimes you've had shipping issues, whatever else. He's like, speed bumps means we're growing, and so I liked how he just likened that to marriage, and he just compared that to marriage. So anyways, do you have anything else to say, Debbie?
No, I think I'm good. This was fun. It was great to be able to recap convention, and hopefully all of you could come join us next year.
Yes.
Leaders Retreat. Yes, we're all going to Leaders Retreat this fall.
Leaders Retreat. If you guys don't have a plan, we can talk to you about a plan. Like I said before, the biggest thing is just multiplying, trying to hit silver over and over again, getting 3 people every month, and then letting those people know, hey, I'm going to help you get to silver. And I think too, just telling your downlines, because it's kind of scary, like we just talked about and all this stuff. So we don't want them to be scared. We can tell them, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you with whatever you need, whatever your goals are, and we're going to do this together. And then just the power of 3 multiplied over and over again. That's how we're going to get to Leaders Retreat. But it's going to be in Dallas, and it looks so amazing, and I'm so excited, even though I hate flying. But it'll all work out. So anyways, guys, does anybody else have any questions or anything you want to say while we're all on here together? Everybody's muted. Amanda's shaking her head no.
This has been fun.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good.
Okay, guys. Well, it's been fun. We'll talk to you later. Now I got to figure out how to turn this thing off. Stop recording.